Hey folks, Joe Valley here with Quiet Light. Thanks again for joining us for another episode of the Quiet Light podcast. Today we have an e-commerce entrepreneur doing I can't even pronounce the word entrepreneur today. Oh boy. This is going to be a rough podcast, folks, because you know I don't edit. You're going to hear all my stumbles and falls and mistakes and goose. So we're going to have some fun. We've got an entrepreneur that's done some pretty incredible things with cats and accessories for cats and communities for cats and taking cats for walks and traveling with cats, all these things that I didn't know you could do. She's also a public speaker. She's been on stage across the country. Lots of very interesting stuff here. Her name is Emily Miethner. Emily, welcome to the Quiet Light podcast.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right. So my podcast booking firm, Pampum Mitco, introduced you to me. And the opening line says, Emily is an energetic serial entrepreneur with a fancy story on how they became the number one cat travel brand in the world. What does that mean, fancy story?
That's a great word. I mean, I think we have an interesting story for sure. Well, I like I said, very happy to be here. A big fan of the podcast. I've listened to a bunch before being on as a guest. So very exciting. So I started Travel Cat with my husband, actually. And as mentioned, we're actually both entrepreneurs, serial entrepreneurs, and we were inspired to start the company after we rescued a kitten on a whim. Neither of us had ever been cat owners before, although I had had a lot of pets growing up, and we never discussed getting any sort of pet, let alone a cat. And so in our journeys to quickly become the best cat parents that we could, we realized a couple of key things. One is that, a lot of people told us, you're busy, but cats are easy. They sleep all day. You don't have to take them out for walks. Like it's just, Sure. It's easy, right? And what we found though, is that really actually to raise a happy and healthy cat, they do need a lot of interaction and stimulation and enrichment. They don't just sleep all day. And the second thing we found is that there really weren't, and still are not, a lot of brands dedicated to cats specifically. That cats really in the pet world are sort of second-class citizens to dogs.
Yes.
Yes. So, with, again, our entrepreneurial backgrounds, we decided to start Travel Cat and to create and sell products that make it possible to travel and go outside with your cat safely as a way to give your cat extra stimulation and enrichment, and also to just create a better and less stressful experience when you need to travel with your cat, like going to the vet or moving or, going to visit folks. So our number one product is our Fat Cat backpack, which holds up to 25 pounds of cat. We also sell cat harnesses and a bunch of other cat accessories as we grow our line to ultimately have, provide anything you may need to go outside with your cat.
All right, let me jump in and just sort of jump to the punchline for those folks that are going, okay, so what? Who the hell buys a backpack for their cat? Who takes their cat for walks? All of this stuff. Let me just say that they have done multiple millions in revenue, Emily and her husband. They've sold in 75 different countries, and they've sold more than to more than 50,000 customers. So now you want to start listening. Pay attention to this, because what you've done, Emily, is pretty impressive. You've created, something new altogether, right? Were there cat-specific backpacks prior to you and your husband coming along to solve a problem that you personally had?
Not really, and certainly not a brand like we've built. You can look on Amazon and you can buy cheap backpacks, cat backpacks, or, results that come up when you search cat backpacks. But none of them have a brand like we do. And that's been a huge part of our success and our really insane growth, is that we've taken ownership of leading the charge of this white space of helping people realize, like you mentioned yourself, you'd never heard of this before, that you can actually take your cat out on a harness and a leash, or in a backpack as a way to get them mental and physical, exercise essentially. And it's certainly not the same as taking a dog out, and we don't claim it to be, but we have put in a lot of time and effort and resources into creating resources and programming to make sure that people realize that this is possible and how to go about doing it successfully.
Yeah, and that is your community that you're talking about. And I want to get to that in a few minutes, because what you've done with your community and virtual events that you've done with cat owners is just insane to me, that you're hitting it out of the ballpark the way that you are in building that community, and then the offshoot of revenues from it's just incredible. Take us back, though, to when you first created this product. You came up with this idea. Tell us about the first iteration of the cat backpack and what it was made of. Did you rip up an LL Bean backpack and modify it? How did you come up with the first variation of it?
Yeah, so our line started off really small, and we still feel like it's pretty small. I believe at this point we have about 20 products, 2025. And product growth is a big thing that we're working on this year. But yeah, when we started off, it was really one main backpack that we focused on, that fat cat backpack. And, right off the bat, we, found, we didn't invent the cat bubble backpack, but we definitely have the most high quality premium one. So, right from the bat, we knew we wanted to, just make it really safe, secure, fun. And also, again, something that we're doing is just, even having the name Travel Cat, it shows people right off the bat, this is for cats. This is, we have the only cat backpack and harness on the market that, has the word cat on it, in addition to a little cat icon within our logo. So that's something that, we just really committed to always be for cat people. Like, we get asked all the time, oh, are you going to expand into dogs? Can you put a dog in here? And our answer is, you can. Yes, you can put a dog and other pets in this backpack, but it's, everything we do is meant to be around cats. So the backpack was first. Mm-hmm.
The dog would feel silly because it's in a cat backpack, right? And it's got a cat logo on it. It's like putting a little boy in a girl's dress. They'll feel silly.
I mean, the cat people are used to that, right? Like, cat people are used to sort of retrofitting things, or again, pet, a lot, there are other brands that have the word pet, but they're not specifically for cat. Yeah. So our backpack, that fat cat backpack was our first. Then we have other products that we've created, completely from scratch. One that we can't keep in stock is called the Navigator cat backpack. We, developed that with a lot of feedback from people who are doing more than just, sort of a walk around the park, really meant for more serious hikers. It's got a lot, it's very feature rich, high quality. And we have a travel litter box, in addition to the harnesses. And we also have created more and more products that you can just use around the house as well, like cat beds, but they all have some sort of collapsible, foldable element to them, so that they're good for instance, if you're going on a road trip and you need to pack some beds for your cat, but you don't want them to take up a lot of space, they, collapse down or they fold up, and then they're easy to put out, say, in a hotel room or an Airbnb. So everything has some sort of, travel element to it.
And how long ago was it that you first launched the initial backpack?
The end of 2017.
The end of 2017. So 18, 19, 20. This is a well-aged business at this point. How long did you run with just one or two or three SKUs before you started expanding?
It took maybe about half a year to realize, like, oh, of course we should be selling harnesses as well. What an obvious next step. And through there, we've added products pretty thoughtfully and slowly, I would say. And, but now this year, as we've really solidified our marketing and a lot of systems and operations, product development is a huge part of our growth plan. So, for instance, we have a product coming out this month called the Transporter. We really embrace the cat puns. And that is a more sort of common type of carrier that you can, say, take on an airline. It's one that people are more used to seeing. So we are, making more products like that we hope will have, a wider, more broad appeal. But again, it's very feature rich. It's developed with a lot of requests from people. we're calling it the ultimate calming carrier. So it has a lot of features that make it easy to get the cat in and out. And it also has 4 different ways that the human can carry it, from over the suitcase, backpack, handlebar, or, crossbody. So yeah, developing more products that have a bit more broad appeal is a part of our growth plan as well.
Do you have any products that are consumables in any way in your growth plans?
Not yet, but we are developing more and more harness styles and patterns. So that's not consumable, but it is the idea of, giving people something new and interesting to come back to and to always keep checking for. So our harnesses sell for between 25 and 30, and people sort of almost see those as clothes in a way. Okay. Plus, if they're buying, an extra small, you can assume at some point they're going to size up to at least a small. So we've been developing more and more limited edition drops and styles. So for instance, our most popular limited edition right now is called the 90s cat, and it's got sort of like a Saved by the Bell pattern to it. So that's something we've been doing to just, keep customers coming back, because, our products should last forever. Yeah. So
exactly. Exactly. And your plan will be to eventually exit someday, right? I think we discussed this a little bit. So I ask about the consumables because the valuations in the dog space, when it comes to consumables, whether it's a shampoo, a supplement, or food, are absolutely insane. I don't know if it's equivalent in the cat space. Just simply, I'm assuming that the dog market is much larger than the cat market. Is that accurate or not?
Cats are actually growing more quickly than dogs.
All right.
So yes.
Someday, look at those consumables, ingestibles, topicals, anything. And if anybody listening has some expertise in the space, definitely reach out to Emily. All right. Back to the marketing aspect of it. When you first launched this, did you go the typical, Amazon's low-hanging fruit, let me try it there first, or did you open up your own website?
So we started with our own brand. So we only got into Amazon about a couple of years ago, and we've been very strategic with it. We actually price our products a tad bit higher on Amazon. So, but of course we didn't want to miss out on that channel opportunity. But yeah, we launched with our own brand and really started by focusing on organic social media and community building, and Google ads were really the first 2 things to kick off, building up our customer base.
So you were doing pay-per-click in the pet space, specifically cat space. Did you have just incredible margins with your product to make that work? Because I can't imagine it's cheap to do pay-per-click in the pet space.
Well, we were targeting some pretty specific keywords. Okay. So that was a big part of the success, but we have always had very good margins. We have always been profitable. Okay. That's something we're very proud of. We've never taken any sort of outside investment money. We've gotten financing through things like we actually got Shopify financing in the very beginning when we first got to the point of needing money to buy more inventory. And we've gotten some local loans. We're based in New York. And so we found some really good loan programs for just regular loans and also purchase order loans, which have worked out very well for us. So we have gotten financing, but no outside or no investors. So we have, full ownership of our company, and profitability as we grow continues to be a huge priority. Did
this start out as a side hustle for you and your husband? I mean, you were both entrepreneurs before, had other roles where there was money coming into the household? Is this the main financial revenue generator for you guys as a couple?
It is now. Well, one of them. Yeah. It pretty much it is now. It didn't start that way. I wouldn't necessarily call it a side hustle when we started it, since we did, have the intention of, starting it with that, right, hoping it would grow and, have a lot of success. I don't think we thought it would see this much success. So that was, a nice surprise. Yeah. But as it has continued to grow, we've, put more and more efforts into it. And we do have a team now, it's not just my husband.
So I applaud you for going the Shopify route, because when you own the customer, it's going to be a more valuable business when you eventually exit. Um, but it took you almost 3 years before you decided to sell on Amazon. Are you comfortable sharing now, after 2 years, what the revenue split is? 50% to Shopify, 50% to Amazon, or is it vastly different than that?
It's vastly different than that. It's much more owned. Amazon might be 15 to 20% or something like that. Don't quote me on that, but we're still definitely very much majority direct to consumer. And another part of our growth strategy this year is we are focusing and really committing more to also retail and wholesale channels, which we dabbled in a bit before, prior to COVID. Took a pause because of COVID, as you can imagine. But now we're back in the game and have some better systems set up for to get into more retail pet stores across the country and internationally as well. Because you mentioned we have sold to over 75 countries directly. And we know that, if we could get our product into distributors or chains in other countries, that would be really exciting for us, because we know there's a lot of folks who probably don't want to pay the $35 shipping that we currently charge to ship outside the US.
Is that one of the reasons why it's slow to grow on Amazon, is because the shipping charge for the big backpacks?
I think it's just that hasn't been one of the things, is it hasn't been our main focus. So, we have grown it a bit, though. We started off with ourselves, running it ourselves, and then we moved over to an Amazon agency to help us really grow it, because we weren't really putting the effort in that it needed. Okay. And so we recently actually took it back in-house. So, we felt that we knew enough at that point where we would do better to, hire contractors, on our own team to manage that. So
which segment is growing faster, the Amazon side or the Shopify side?
Shopify side.
Definitely. Okay. This is really the opposite of what everybody else in e-commerce is finding. They're finding that their Amazon side is growing so much faster than their own direct-to-consumer website. The reason for this in your situation has got to be the community side of things. Is that probably what's generating that growth there?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's just jump into this, folks. I got to tell you that in the pre-podcast interview, we chatted about her community, and she said she just put on a virtual event for cat owners and had, was it 700 people attend the virtual event?
That is correct. It was a virtual summit.
A virtual summit for cat owners, 700 people. Think about all of the e-commerce events that you listeners have been to, and where 700 people didn't show up. Maybe 70 showed up, or 7 in some cases. I think this is just incredible. So you just must have an incredible community. So tell us how you started building the community and what it means to be a community in this situation.
Yeah. So we always put a lot of effort into just connecting with real people who are using our products, or maybe not using our products yet, but were going outside with their cats, right? So we recognize that this is still a very new thing that a lot of people don't realize is possible. And so we really wanted to get to know the community super well. And one of the biggest places that we've done that is on Instagram. So, I like to say there's no cat parks, right, for cat people to meet each other like dog owners can. But I consider Instagram sort of the cat park, because a lot of cat people have Instagram accounts for their cats and take them very seriously and just love connecting with other cat owners, especially other cat owners who are taking their cats out in backpacks or on harnesses and leashes. So we actually, even before COVID, we started to go to cat conventions and to sell our products in person. And after I started to do that a couple of times, my new strategy was, whenever we were going to go to a cat convention, we were going to also host a panel where we would have people from our community share their tips on how to go out with their cat. So we actually did that once in Seattle before COVID happened. And so once COVID happened and all the cat conventions, were canceled, we did 2 virtual cat conventions. And then I thought, you know what, let's just do our own. So my background is in events, and I've been producing in-person and virtual events for, over 12 years. So we started to test the waters with hosting our own kind of webinar style events, but also we never did it as just, a presentation with slides, but we always did it as part of the event. We had breakout groups where we had hosts that we recruited from our community run breakout groups, which, ended up being between 10, 20 people who would just be, hanging out on the Zooms. They could all see each other and just ask questions and discuss and share and chat. So we tested the waters with about 5 different virtual events where it was just single topic, 1 hour. And after looking back and, sort of analyzing the attendance and the feedback from attendees, we thought, all right, this spring, instead of hosting, multiple small events, let's host a big blowout event. Let's host Travel Cat Summit. And so we wanted to do something where it was a sort of conference style event where people could choose specific topics like how to travel in cars, how to go hiking, how to train older cats. And we recruited a lot of people. So we had over 30 speakers hosting these different topics. And something else that I wanted to do to make it bigger and more exciting is partner with other cat brands. So I mentioned, there aren't a lot of brands out there that really focus on cats, but the ones that are out there, I've really tried to form relationships with, and we've done, joint giveaways and things like that. So reached out to some of my favorite other cat brands to get involved by sharing the event with their communities and also offering up prizes and gifts for our speakers and attendees, and all worked out really well. We had a goal of 1,000 RSVPs, and that goal was double the highest RSVP we had gotten at a previous event. So 500 was the most we had ever gotten to that point. And we ended up with 1,700 RSVPs. Wow. And over 700 people actually attended. And we did have some tech issues. So I'm actually pretty confident it would have been closer to 800 if not for those tech issues. But we were extremely happy with the program. And it was pretty minimal cost in terms of, hard costs to produce the event. And we made, at least last time I checked, about 15 grand, just off of direct campaigns related to promotion of the event. So, it was by far exceeded our expectations in all ways.
So you were selling product. You were giving them discount coupons to buy different products throughout the event as well.
Yeah, so we wanted to do some exciting things to add incentive for people to purchase, before, during, and after the event. So one thing we did is we created a custom tote bag. That was one of the things we spent money on. And then we got freebie items from the partners in the tote bag. And anybody who registered could get the tote bag free with any purchase. So we were able to tie, a lot of purchases to that promotion. Mm-hmm. And then we also made a hidden exclusive event only set of bundles, like discounted product bundles. So we created these bundles that, you couldn't find anywhere else and that were, a good discount. We used it as a way to push a lot of some of our newer products that we wanted to just, sort of get out there. So, we did sort of, I was gonna say, we didn't do a lot of hard selling. We sort of did, but we were like making it exciting. Like, here's this exclusive bundles, this exclusive tote bag, order quickly before they sell out,
The attendees didn't feel like it was an event for you to just sell products. It sounds like that was a very minimal thing. You only sold $15,000 worth of product to 700 people. So the upside to the event is just solidifying your community so that you're constantly top of name for them, I would assume. And when you launch new products, where do you go to first?
Well, yeah, actually, that's another thing that we did. So I mentioned that transporter product. So we actually launched that transporter at the event. Okay. And so we took the opportunity at the event to show the product and talk about the new features and basically demo it. And we put that product on that secret collection and said, you have first dibs. We only ordered 250. The first batch of these, we only have 250 of, which is true. So, you get first dibs on that. And, we sold a bunch of that particular product as well, sort of a soft launch. And we did have a session during each time break that was called like Travel Cat Product Q&A. But even during those sessions, it was led by community members and people who have gotten a lot of our products, because we do send a lot of free products to certain influencers in our community. So they were also sharing tips, throughout the event. So it was a little bit or throughout those sessions. So it's kind of like QVC style, showing off the event, but also or showing off the products, but as they were, giving tips as well. So there's always just a lot of insight and content. And we just had fun too. We hosted a cat bingo at the end and gave out prizes. And we had an influencer called Nathan the Cat Lady, run the bingo. And a lot of people came for him because he's got a little pretty big following. So it was also just, really fun. Like, we got good feedback that people just overall had a very good time.
All right. So you had 1,700 people respond, 700 came, you would have had 8, but you had to find these folks somewhere, somehow. You mentioned Instagram before. Have you built up a large social media following? Do you have a Travel Cat shop Facebook group? How are you communicating with them and helping them as giving them tips and advice on traveling with your cat? What platform are you using to become, to show up on their mobile device?
Yes. So Instagram is our biggest place by far in terms of our reach and social reach. So we have.
Is that called a handle? Is that a handle, your Instagram handle?
Yes, our Instagram handle. So we are Your Cat Backpack on Instagram. And so we're just about to hit 60,000 followers. So we've seen a lot of faster growth recently, especially through this time we've been promoting the event. So that's been a big place that we, share resources, and really it's all user-generated content and people who bought our products that we're highlighting on that account. So a lot of people just, they'll see certain cats featured on our Instagram and they'll end up connecting with those people, by commenting or then afterward DMing and that sort of thing. And then we do also have a Facebook group, much more modest. It's got about 2,000 people in it, and we're working on growing that. And then we do a lot of highlighting of our community members through our blog, which brings us, a good amount of traffic. So we have a lot of very keyword targeted articles related to how to travel with your cat. But then we also just highlight community members at least once a week. And we do that through our email as well. So a lot of people are just, they're super excited to get featured on our site, through our email, through our social, because they see what a great audience that we have.
And you do. I'm looking at Instagram's Your Cat Backpack, and I just want to say that it's not the lonely little old lady that has cats, apparently, or single people. There's lots of young, happy, attractive people, men and women, all hanging out and having cats. So this stereotype has got to go away. You're changing things, hopefully, for the cat world.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, and we have a premium product, but our audience, it's really amazing because, it's pretty diverse in terms of age, gender, like socioeconomic background. You might expect, someone who's buying a $120 cat backpack, they're going to be, an upper middle class, 30-something-year-old female. But, we have a lot of people who might, be Walmart shoppers for themselves, but for their cat, they're like, I want the best. And so they're getting the premium cat product. So we actually work really hard on showing a diversity of cat parents in our marketing. And it might sound a little silly, but I have a background prior to running Travel Cat in diversity and inclusion. And, people don't necessarily equate diversity of, say, like cat ownerships, but with diversity and inclusion. But I really make an effort to be very inclusive with how we're showing off people in our community, because it is a really diverse audience. So we want to show that off.
Yeah, I'm seeing lots of diversity here. It's very cool. Even the image that's up now is just this cool dude. It looks like he's going out for a hike or something, and he's got a cat on a leash, and the cat looks like he's having a good time. So this is fascinating. Fascinating. So what's next for you? You're already in 75 different countries. You've talked about the retail and the wholesale stuff, which, I wonder if you went on Shark Tank, how quickly they'd talk you out of that. Let's go there. Why that? Why not just go 180% all in online instead of, the retail aspect of it? I'm just assuming that retail is as awful as that they say, that you're going to get lots of returns, or you're fronting lots of inventory up front, not getting paid forever. Am I wrong?
So I think it depends. So I mean, one thing is we did get onto Fair within the last year or so, and that's a retail marketplace that's worked out really well for us. It's meant for sort of boutique independent stores to find unique products, and so that has just streamlined our process with working with smaller stores. So we definitely don't expect to ever have a huge chunk of our revenue coming from these small retail stores, but it's helpful, just for brand awareness and to, have a product that is more expensive and sort of like a physical product that a lot of people want to try on. It's easy enough for us to do. Besides the small mom and pops, we do want to use retail as a channel to grow our distribution in a strategic way to try to find some key, larger scale independent retailers, not just in the US, but as mentioned, abroad, right? So like talking to a chain of 10 stores in Sweden or 6 stores in Montreal, or distributors in Brazil or Chile. Those are just ways for us to expand our reach. And because we have better systems in place now.
You might need to travel to visit those stores as well. Very business oriented trip you and your husband go to.
Yes, totally. So that's, it's a part of the plan. It's not, we're ultimately 100% the growth of our direct to consumer is where we see, the biggest growth. And these other channels are a way to just really complement that. And then really the other big part of our growth strategy is the product development, so continuing to create more products that are going to continue to bring people back in, especially because we have built such a loyal audience and a loved brand. We want to take advantage of that and create other products that people are really excited and happy to purchase.
So when it comes to building out the additional products, is it within the company that you have, you and your husband and some employees or VAs, do you and your husband have distinct roles and responsibilities within your organization, or do they overlap quite a bit?
They don't overlap really at all, which is why I think we've been successful with the partnership.
That's what I was getting at. I was just curious because I know that when they don't overlap, it's much better for the business and for the relationship as well.
Yes. So, for instance, when it comes to product development, we handle different aspects of it, but, ultimately come together to collaborate. So he's the one working with our manufacturers and handling all the logistics and sending them the information to create the products, whereas I handle the product development side of things here. So I work with our product designers, our industrial designers. I'm gathering feedback from community members. I'm sending out the products to members to test, to then send the feedback to our product developers, so then, but then eventually we come together to, fully execute on those. So it's definitely, there's a lot of collaboration, but there's also very clear defined roles, which I think, is important for any company. Everyone needs to have those defined roles. Otherwise it can get messy.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. My wife and I worked together in the early days of JVI Media, the first company that I launched. And it could be challenging. Thankfully, we had babies and she focused on that. Before she would have fired me or I would have fired her and we would have gotten in big fights. So good for you. Keep those roles separate. You just mentioned industrial designers, which is a term not many people know. An industrial designer is someone that has designed everything that you folks touched today. It could have been the table, the keyboard, the mouse, the pen, the bottle of water, even the shoes that you have on or the headphones that I'm wearing. In your situation, did you go out and source those individually, the industrial designers, or did you end up finding an industrial design firm?
We work with individual industrial designers. So, we've had one that we've done multiple products with at this point because we've just had a great relationship so far. He actually even introduced us to one of our factories that creates some of our products. But we're constantly reaching out to new designers as well to work on different products, just to sort of spread things out. But we do work with individual freelance product designers.
Whereabouts in the country are you located?
We're in New York. And we ship from our own warehouse in New York as well. So we do not work with a 3PL. We handle our own fulfillment.
You just want to make more work for yourself. Good for you.
Yeah, no, it was a very good decision actually working with we had a nightmare 3PL experience, which I could do a whole episode on that. But it ended up being just a much better situation for us to bring it in-house. So we rent a warehouse space and we have a full-time, that's part of our team member. We have a full-time warehouse manager, and, we're able to own that process, and we ship orders in 1 to 2 business days. So, we're competitive with Amazon. So it's actually something that I also think really helps to set us apart. Like I buy from bigger brands that don't ship as quickly as we do.
Well, the fact that you get somebody else running the show is the right way to go. That way you and your husband can still go away, leave the business for as long as you need to, and somebody's still fulfilling orders, which is always the biggest problem when somebody brings it in-house and they're doing it literally from the garage of their basement. So
No, we haven't shipped our own orders since I think like early 2018. So we don't ever plan to go back to that.
So there's 2, I'm going to just mention, we've had both these guys on the podcast, 2, I don't want to call them just industrial designers because there's so much more than that. E-commerce oriented companies that focus on product design, development, negotiation, shipping, all this different stuff, launching. One is called Enventys, Enventys. They've been around for a good 20, 25 years here in Charlotte. I'm friends with Louis Foreman, one of the owners. And the other is Gemba, which is down out of Austin, Gembah. And obviously, Emily, I'm saying this for the audience, not for you necessarily.
Sure.
But, Zach Leonard down at Gemba is doing great stuff down there too. Much younger company, just raised some Series A funding and doing lots of very cool stuff to help people that have products. And what he's done with a lot of them in the e-commerce world that are currently doing it on their own, they brought it in there and been able to renegotiate cost of goods sold down by 10, 15, 20% in some cases with their manufacturers around the world and the processing. And just little tweaks and redesigns of the product to make it a little smaller, a little lighter, better packaging, things of that nature. So 2 things to think about for you, I guess, a little bit, and for the audience as well. Okay, so we've gone through pretty much everything that you've done here, including maintaining a happy marriage by keeping your work role separate from your husband. You brought it in-house, the inventory, but you have somebody else ship it, so that's great. You've gone through a lot. What do you see just for you and your husband in this business in the next 3 to 5 years? Do you have goals in terms of how long you're going to run it, get it to a certain size before you exit, or are you just going to continue doing what you're doing and just see how things go, make your decision along the way?
Oh, well, I would say generally, cat world domination. That's sort of our high level goal. We want to continue to create products that enhance the relationship that people have with their pets and with their cats specifically, not pets. So, that's our goal, is to continue to grow the product line and grow the community and grow the brand. And, we have some internal goals about where we think we need to get to that point for it to be ready for a sale. And, we're at the point where we're spending a lot of time just on optimizing systems, processes, that sort of thing, so that, when the right opportunity comes up, that we're ready. But for now, it's really about growing the brand, growing the product line, and continuing to focus on cats and cat people.
Total domination of the cat world. I like it. I like it very much. Quick question, just last minute thing for you to think about. And I didn't prep you for this, but for those people that are just starting out with an idea. They've got an idea, at the early stages of where you were when you first got that little kitten and you thought, we need to go somewhere. It'd be nice to have a modified cat backpack. But any advice you give to somebody that's just getting started?
I think definitely really caring about what you're going to make, if it's a product, definitely being fairly new to the e-commerce world, so we've been in it now for about 5 years or so. You definitely see a lot of, just find a product that works and, the white space and the margin, then, get it from China and resell it, and yeah, that can work to an extent, but if you're trying to really build something sustainable and long-term, I believe you really should care about, you should care about it. You should care about the space. You should be motivated to create good quality products for that space, because it's really, really hard and challenging to create products in general, especially now with all the supply chain issues. We started doing this before COVID, right? And now we've experienced it after, and it takes a long time, to create a really quality product. And, that is different from a lot of other types of businesses. I've been in other businesses that are, say, more services or marketing, where you're more quickly able to make things, or land clients, and, versus, now you could be developing a product for a year, right? And it takes months to get the sample, and then you have to send the sample back with change, so it's not, I just believe that you just really, you have to care a lot to put the time and effort in, and otherwise you might end up cutting corners, and bad things can happen, right? So yeah, I think you have to really care about it, about what you're making, and that's what makes the whole process enjoyable, and that's going to ultimately make you create a better brand and a better product. And
that's going to be very important for the long run. So it's great advice. Emily, how do folks reach out? How do they find you? Those people that are cat lovers, those people that might have great ideas for you in terms of expanding, or relationships that may make sense, or that want to go to your next cat summit. How do they find you? What's the best approach?
Absolutely. Well, our website is travelcatshop.com. So you can find all the social handles and whatnot from there. And then for me personally, I'm super active on LinkedIn, and that's the best place to connect to me. Send me a message, let me know you heard me on the podcast. And I'm always very, very happy to connect with people in the pet space, not in the pet space, in e-commerce, just in general. So Emily Miethner on LinkedIn. Spelling is in the show notes, I believe. It will be. So
I'll put in the show notes. I'll put the link there as well. But it's Meithner. Did I get that right?
Miether.
See, it's up on the screen when you're talking, but not when I'm talking. So I reversed it. Miether. Excellent. Emily, you've changed my mind about cats. As I said, we've got a family member that's allergic, but we're going to go on the hunt for that hypoallergenic cat and see what we can do. And maybe we might avoid the fat cat backpack, because we want them slim, fit, and healthy, so that they're going to live a long life. So we'll get one of the other products. But thanks so much for everything that you shared. Incredible job that you've done. Really impressive what you and your husband have created. 75 different countries, more than 50,000 customers or catsomers around the world that you have, multiple 7 figures in revenue, and a community like no other that I've heard of in recent years. So congrats on everything. And folks, thanks for joining us on another episode of the Quiet Lab podcast. Appreciate it. And we'll see you all soon.